Move over Tom Cruise, we say, because there's a new Mission Impossible man in town. Meet Li Hui. He's China's special envoy for peace in Ukraine. He landed in Kyiv on Wednesday. He also held talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky and his foreign minister. Kyiv had just one message for him. Peace talks are fine, but do not tell us to give up land or freeze the fighting. Any peace deal must respect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. That was Kyiv's message to China, as expected, which raises the question, what exactly is China trying to achieve here? What is their game plan? But first, let's get to know this peace envoy that Xi Jinping has sent. Li Hui joined China's foreign ministry in 1975. His focus, Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. That focus never changed. Throughout his career, Li has handled Russia and ex-Soviet states. He became deputy foreign minister in 2008, and the next year he was sent to Moscow. He stayed there for 10 years as ambassador, Chinese ambassador in Moscow. This was an important time for China-Russia relations. Bilateral trade tripled. Putin and Xi became best buddies, and a strategic anti-West partnership was forged. Li played a key role in all of this. He got the Order of Friendship from Vladimir Putin in 2019, and that's the highest honor given to non-Russians, the Order of Friendship. After Moscow, Li moved on to other things. He became China's special envoy for Eurasia. He's got friends in most East European capitals and ex-Soviet states. Also, he's a Russophile. He speaks Russian. He also loves Russian literature, apparently a big fan of Tolstoy, Chekhov, and Dostoevsky. Long story short, he's not a lightweight. He's a seasoned diplomat, and he knows the region well. Does that mean he'll succeed? Well, that depends on his brief from Beijing. What has he set out to do? China released a 12-point peace plan earlier this year. It doesn't even call this a war. It talks about the crisis in Ukraine. And Zelensky knows this. He may keep asking Xi Jinping to put pressure on Putin, but even he knows the political reality. China is not going to compromise Russian interests. Not because they love Moscow, but because Russia's setback is the West's gain, and they don't want that. Which brings us to China's game plan. What is Beijing hoping to achieve? We can think of two things. Number one, some good press. Who doesn't love a peace envoy? And that too, a seasoned and powerful one. The world hated China's aggressive wolf warrior diplomacy. So this is their new strategy, from wolf warrior to peace warrior. It's a good try, but nobody's buying it. And reason number two, to keep a check on Russia. Now, don't be fooled by the ice cream dates between Putin and Xi. This is not a relationship that will last for ages. It's like that bromance you see in Bollywood movies. The actors may act like equals, but one is a hero, the other is a sidekick. So who's the sidekick here? Well, temperamentally, neither Putin nor Xi. But Russia's economy cannot match up to China, so Beijing sees Moscow as a junior partner, if not today, then sometime in the future. They also have territorial disputes and differences over Central Asia. So Xi Jinping wants to keep Moscow in check. This peace mission could serve that purpose too. It's a strategy to increase or reduce the heat on Putin. Where does that leave Ukraine? Zelensky's major problem is this: he can't do anything on his own. His tactics, his decisions, his future, everything is dictated by the West. And why is that? Because Ukraine doesn't have support beyond them. Reports say Zelensky is trying to change that though. He's launching a major diplomatic offensive. His target is the global south. Ukraine is planning to send ambassadors to open embassies in more than 24 countries in the middle of a war. 24 countries. These are in Latin America, in Africa, and in Asia. The idea is to build up a global coalition against Russia. As part of this plan, Foreign Minister Kuleba visited Africa in October. Ukraine wants to tackle Russia's main narrative, that this campaign is limited to NATO. That's what Russia says. And that beyond NATO, no one is bothered about Ukraine. Kyiv is trying to change that. It promises to be a tough task, though. For starters, Russia is an established African partner. It sells wheat, weapons, and mercenaries. Plus, Moscow has launched its own diplomatic offensive. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has visited 14 countries in Africa and Latin America. And remember, this is only in the month of May. 14 countries. And that's the problem with last-minute diplomacy. It never really works. Passionate appeals cannot replace decades-old partnerships. New embassies cannot substitute years of neglect. I'll give you an example. No Ukrainian foreign minister had ever visited Africa until 2022. Africa has 54 countries. Not a single visit in 31 years. It tells you why diplomacy is important. Good relations are forged over years, not through new ambassadors or embassies, and also not through ice cream dates, by the way. It's a lesson for both Russia and Ukraine.